Hariyo. Hariyo. Hello, my friends. This human body is amazing. The potential of consciousness in a human form is simply staggering. And yet, it seems that this body is creating a lot of troubles all the time, to the point that in the Vedanta, they rather talk about the body in a way that you feel disgusted with the body. It's just a bag of bones, of blood, and there is all kinds of dirty stuff in it. The trouble is, if we totally identify with the body, then all the physical little whims that come to our mind, they rule our life. So that to the point that different school says you have to completely vanquish all desires if you want to be free. But then a stone also doesn't have desires. It's still a stone. We just have to learn to become aware that fulfilling little physical desires is not going to make us happy. Momentarily, it gives a moment relief. Momentarily, the mind is quieter. There is that feeling of satisfaction, but it doesn't hold very long. I'm talking about the body because Mariano has asked, yeah, is it really? So it seems really that the body is capable of holding that supreme consciousness. Yes, it is possible. Actually, that supreme consciousness is animating the body. It is never absent. But in our conscious experience, we have forgotten that, and then there is just a little spark that is manifesting. Theoretically, any moment one can dive into that supreme consciousness, and it's manifesting through the body in all its glory. But practically, it's not that easy, that simple. Because the body, when we grew up, has developed in a certain way, on a certain frequency. And accordingly, the nervous system has developed that it fits to that frequency. And somehow, if we give too strong an energy into that nervous system, it cannot handle it. What we are doing when we are practicing, when we are learning not to be always in the mind and roaming about, but learn to be in the present and feel that manifestation, is that we are tuning the body also simultaneously, that it is gradually capable of standing higher energies, subtler energies, more powerful energies. A nervous system that is not prepared cannot stand it. Momentarily, it may be okay, a moment of ecstasy, but then immediately it's too much. And then it becomes painful, and when it's prolonged, it can really drive the people crazy or even kill them. So it's worth to continue giving attention. It's worth to continue to day after day spending at least some time where we are doing nothing else but being focused, alert, concentrated here, now. The difference between the nervous system and an electrical wiring is that it is organic and can adapt. An electrical wiring, if you put too much current into it, it burns out. And in a way, with the nervous system, it is also like this. But if we gradually increase the intensity, then the nervous system is capable to adjust. Mariano has asked previously a question about including, or I just put it there, when he was a bit feeling stuck, to include the physical level, the energetic level, to center, to be aware of the body sensations, and to learn to relax on that level, not to exclude it, but to include it, and then the meditation is also starting to get deeper. And he says, yes, actually, it seems to work. And was then just wondering, how can this body be the carrier of that supreme consciousness? It has been constructed like this. The human form is extraordinary, how adaptable it is. But the general level of energy is such that we have the tendency to develop on that level within with certain differences, but still that then the body develops like this, the nervous system develops like this. That's why we have to fine tune it. That's why we have to learn to bring those stronger, subtler, more expansive energies into our conscious experience. It should be there naturally, but somehow in this world it has happened that it doesn't function like this, because whole humanity doesn't function like this, and then the pull is so strong that we are also living, thinking, feeling, experiencing on that same level. If we daily spend some time where we are more focused, concentrated here, not let the mind go all over the place, but bring the attention in the present, then each time we are lifting the energy, at least for that time, and then release it again. But that is the way how the nervous system is adjusting, developing, and gradually becomes ready to sustain a higher energy without any damage. Yes, Mariana, the body is capable. It is amazing. There are beings appearing in human form. They are so absolutely beyond even what anybody can imagine in their state, in their consciousness. And then there are beings, they are in such a way gross, crude, and that life energy, that level is so minimal and uncaught. And both are appearing as human beings. The body can adapt, the body can get used And if the energy is always crude and very egocentric, then the body is adjusting and is demanding that out of habit. But gradually we can make it more subtle, stronger, and then it becomes a fantastic instrument to manifest this divine beauty that is there in everyone, to manifest that inner creativity and joyousness and let it radiate on this level, in this three-dimensional world. Now, Mariano also asks that when he practices, there is always that desire that it becomes better. And I say, relax, don't get tense, relax. Then how can we relax that desire to improve without getting lazy? It's a very valid question, because there is a lot of teaching. Yes, don't even desire liberation, don't desire self-realization. That desire in itself is an obstacle. It is not really true. That desire for freedom, for truth, for authenticity is absolutely justified, because deep down we know that would be our natural state. But what we can learn is that usually when a desire springs up, people get all tense and restless and struggle to fulfill that desire. And then the tendency is there that even with this desire for freedom, we get all tense about it. And the trick, the way to go about it, is that we learn to relax. Consciously longing for freedom, consciously opening the heart for truth, but not like people handling desires usually. I want it, I want it, I want it, otherwise I cannot be at ease, otherwise I cannot be happy, otherwise I cannot be at peace. Just be aware that's nothing wrong, that you are opening up, that it's improving in the sense that you become more natural, that you become more yourself, that you live more in tune with life here now in that space of timelessness of the now. So you don't have to, when you relax, that doesn't mean you have to push away that desire. Simply observe that even when that desire comes, that you still relax and don't get all tense about it. And then actually it's an inspiring force and not an obstacle. Open up to reality, to the essence, to the self, to God. Open up to that divinity. And that longing to really fully appreciate it, to fully experience. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we can learn to relax in that desire. Instead of getting all tense, open the heart, open the longing, but relax. And relax start on the easiest level. Relax consciously, physically. Relax energetically. And then, even when a desire is there, you relax at the same time also psychologically. You can keep up that yearning without getting all tense about it. That is the secret, that you keep it. You don't, relaxing doesn't mean to push that desire away. You keep it, but consciously relax. And then it's not a disturbance, but it's a beacon that leads you home to yourself. And then there was another subject. Mariana mentioned he had a cat that he loved very much, was with him for 12 years, passed away. And then that pain he experienced, that pain in itself somehow helped him to connect better with the self. And actually, if we are dealing with pain wisely, that is what is happening. He wonders whether just the passing of a being to the other side, if that is the reason that there is an opening, and that is the reason that it's easier to connect. And actually, that also is there. When somebody leaves the body, it's like for a moment, it's that like a door is opening and something comes through. It's also happening at the other side. When a being is born, the same thing is happening. Like for a moment, there is like an opening that something comes through that is usually rather cut off very strongly. So both, Mariana, both is true that such moments can help you because there the separation line that is there becomes weaker for, for some time. When somebody close leaves this world, it's like for a moment that separation of the consciousness that is manifesting in this three-dimensional space and the consciousness that goes beyond it, that the separation is less for some time. But then the other aspect is also there. If there is sadness, if there is pain about the passing of any friend, of any being, be it human or not human, with whom we were close, and they pass away, naturally there is a reaction. There is sadness for not more being able to be in the company of those beings. But then that pain, if we start to connect that pain with self-pity, then it becomes unbearable and it is really locking the consciousness into a little bubble. But if we can accept that pain instead of refusing it, instead of resisting, and fully experience that mental pain that comes, then actually it can at a certain moment start to turn around, and it can be into your own resources, and the pain may even gradually transform into joyousness, into ecstasy. But it's good if a being goes that we can be with them, but then after that we let them go also. Wish them well for whatever journey they have ahead and let them go. But pain, no matter why it is coming, it can be used in a positive, constructive way. And then it doesn't degenerate into suffering. If the pain is accepted, if we just watch what it is doing to our experience, if we don't get all tense with it, but learn to relax, then it can be very, very helpful to make our experience expansive. If we do the opposite, it becomes very unbearable and the consciousness is getting smaller. If we feel sorry about ourselves, our poor little self that has to deal with the situation, that has to confront this unpleasant situation, then that self-pity makes the pain unbearable and people really suffer. If you accept the pain in such a situation, or also in other situations, if you accept the pain on whatever level it is, and in that acceptance learn to relax and observe what it is doing, then that very pain that could create suffering can help us to become much more present, self-aware, and the experience becomes more expansive and turns more and more joyous. It is always a question how we deal with the situation. And then everything can be used to become stronger, to do that, what I said in the beginning, that the nervous system, the body, becomes more and more capable of manifesting the higher, the divine energy. Okay, I'm leaving those subjects. And Mariano, I hope you are fine and continue like this. Include the physical level, include the energetic level, and then also the more subtle levels become more powerful. Hario, Hario. And now I'm asking you, my friends, is there anyone who would like to come in and say something? You are welcome to do so.
Hi, Werner.
Hello, Ravi.
I saw, just putting my headphones in, Sri Ravi Shankar came to Australia a few days ago. He's a saint like Amma. And I've seen him in the past, and I do his although I've taken mantra from Amma, I do his meditation technique, and I've talked to you about that in the past.
Yes.
Um, and I feel fine with doing his meditation technique, even though Amma's the main photo on my altar. And it was wonderful seeing him and just remembering the power of being in the company of a saint and having that kind of sense of devotion, just having a deeper experience of it to inspire my practice also at home. Um, and now, like, I'm watching more of his videos and such, and I'm actually getting more devotion from it. And I don't feel conflicted in terms of, but it's only a tiny, tiny question.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, I just really want to listen to his satsangs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's the way his English is great, and I like his wit, and I don't see him as being separate. I kind of see him as being the same as Amma. They're the one thing. But I just wanted to just check in anyway, because there's just a small niggling doubt
Yeah.
whether it's okay to listen to satsangs and read books, video satsangs, and read books of other saints as well.
Right. Of
Even though
course.
you've got one main devotional person.
Yes. Of course, it's okay. But
Right.
right. Why it is usually discouraged is exactly because of that. Then the mind is busy doubting whether it's right or not. Or sometimes, I mean, even the teacher, the same teacher, may contradict himself or herself from one teaching to another teaching, depending the situation. And then these contradictions, they create often doubts in the mind of the listeners and those who read those talks. And if you go from one teacher to another, they have different ways of expressing themselves. And so then there is more scope of doubt. Because of that, it's generally discouraged in the Indian tradition that you have a number of teachers. But then at the same time, in the stories, there are also stories like one went from one teacher to another and kept on deepening and expanding the experience. Now, if you don't make it into a problem, then it's absolutely no problem. You can very well be aware that that same divinity is maybe slightly differently expressed, but comes through different teachers. And if you can appreciate that, accept it, then it doesn't create a problem. I mean, uh, the whole time when I was with Amma, I kept on reading other books that inspired me very much, and it didn't create a problem with that relationship with Amma, because it is clear you can just express that which actually one cannot express. Okay, there we are again. Ravi, are you still here? I think he also went out. Anyhow, I continue the thought. That, Ravi?
He went to the next teacher.
Oh, I have to mute everybody, sorry. Otherwise, we are having too many. Okay. If somebody is with a teacher and devoted to the teacher, but then after that still gets inspiration reading about other teachers or meeting other teachers, that is not a problem if we don't make it into a problem. Actually, if the devotion to the teacher is real, then it rather increases that devotion. We can very well appreciate that that same divinity, that which cannot be really put in words, and yet we try to indicate it with words, that the words can be used very differently. And we need not look at the teacher as a personality, but as representing that which is already there in ourselves. That divinity that is always there, but we have forgotten, it's hidden. We cannot clearly appreciate it. And then if we see it manifest in a teacher, we need not focus on a personality. We can focus on that divinity the teacher is representing. And if we do that, even like in Ravi's case, that he has basically chosen Amma as his main teacher, and then he goes and is with Ravi Shankar and follows his meditation, it doesn't create a problem. If he doesn't create a problem in the mind. In the first years when I came to Amma, I had been before in Bombay studying Vedanta. And during that time, I have also met Nisargadatta Maharaj, and he inspired me greatly. And in the first 4 years with Amma, although being very included in the story with Amma and very devoted to Amma, still I drew a lot of inspiration just reading in Nisargadatta's book again and again and again. So, Ravi, later when you hear this recording, I assure you once again, don't make a problem where there is not a problem. You can open your heart to Amma and you can follow the teaching of Ravi Shankar and open your heart there also. and see basically it's just two different, slightly different expression of that same divinity. If you look at the situation like this, then it's not a problem. Okay. Hario, Hario, Hario. Is there anybody else who would like to come in, say something? Hello, Floyd.
Hi, Werner. Related question. Like the same thing is said about deities, actually. Like you should do the mantra of only one deity
Mhm.
at a time.
Yeah,
But this morning I was wondering, sometimes I feel a strong pull towards Shiva, sometimes it's Hanuman.
yeah,
And a mystic who I met many years back, he gave me a mantra of Krishna.
yeah, right.
So sometimes, the mind still creates that problem that maybe I should do this, maybe this is not the most efficient way of getting there
Hmm.
by doing different stuff.
Well, you can integrate also having a connection with different deities. If you have one deity that is moving you most, you can make that form, that divine expression in your main channel, but that doesn't mean you have to exclude all the others. And if sometimes it helps you to call to Shiva or to call to the mother or to call to another deity, then by all means do that without, it's right. It's again a similar situation like what Ravi was saying about teachers. After all the different deities, and there are a number of them in Hinduism, they are expression of that same divinity. Like a real teacher is an expression of that same divinity. But it's better that you have basically your approach. And then you can maybe include in that approach that you also calling another deity. Sometimes when you feel. But it wouldn't be helpful if one just goes on like one day I'm doing this and then one day I'm doing that and then one day, oh no, I'm doing another thing, that you still keep up your basic approach and go about it again and again and again. But then you can also have that openness that if momentarily you feel like pouring out your heart, slightly different, then you can also do that. It's no problem at all. People sometimes they also go with teachers, go from teacher to teacher and to teacher to teacher and hope that eventually they find the one who is doing the magic trick and all the work is done. And that doesn't work. Then there's people who running from one teacher to another who, and everyone is talking a bit different, then they are getting more confusion. But if they have basically their approach, then being open to the teaching of other teachings doesn't disturb. And the same thing, if you have your basic way how you connect with divinity and you stick to that, and then if momentarily you feel approaching a bit different, then that doesn't create a problem at all. You just come back to that main channel again and include that also if you have that basic devotion for Krishna, then more and more you can also appreciate that other deities, other divine manifestations are aspects of Krishna. And Krishna is a manifestation of your own self, of that divinity that we are looking for.
Yeah. Like J. Krishnamurti would say that even if you say Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, you will still reach, some divine state because it is not the deity, but actually the word or the repetition that makes you go beyond mind.
Yeah.
So is there something but I feel that, when you chant the name of a deity, there's a certain vibration, which I don't think you will get with Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I think you ascribe something to J. Krishnamurti that doesn't come from J. Krishnamurti, but from Osho. Osho used to talk like this.
No, I think it was J. Krishnamurti.
Right, but maybe
Because
I
J.
did.
Krishnamurti also didn't accept, like bhakti and faith in
Yeah,
something, but he spoke more about, questioning everything,
yes.
inquiry.
Unfortunately, he had all that before when he grew up in his forming years, and then he had a fallout with that, and unfortunately, he rejected that aspect wholesale instead of accepting it also is a possibility. Now, of course, if you have a mantra for Sri Krishna, and that automatically opens your heart. And Sri Krishna is representing a whole story that has been ingrained in the human consciousness. A story of a divine being that is incarnating as a human being. Naturally, the heart is opening, and that has something special if you connect like this. If you choose just a word, uh, then and repeat that, that can serve as a concentration exercise. But I mean, you cannot develop this kind of feeling if you if you're repeating Coca-Cola. And that devotional opening, that is a strong force that helps you to go deeper. So it's true that repeating a word over and over can make you very concentrated. But if you do that with devotion, there is an aspect more there than simply the concentration.
Some people say that, I don't know if it's true, but they say that when your guru gives a mantra, it is already charged because he has done the sadhana and then given it to you. So
Yes,
it is already, charged up, and then you are doing it, you will get results faster.
yes,
But what if, like, I go to Arunachala and then I sort of sometimes, lose connection with the mantra given by the guru, or maybe not my guru as such, but by a guru, by someone who is realized in some way, quite evolved. So, when you go to Arunachala, sometimes I feel I've lost connection with that because the person, the guru who gave me that mantra, he said, do it for 4 months. Do it for 4 months and then you'll see what happens in your life. So I asked him, can I have your phone number or something? He's not on Zoom and all. He's a fakir. You can see his photo here somewhere behind me. So uh, he said, like, you don't need to contact me on phone and things like that, but just do it for 4 months and you will find your way after that. And he said, I already know what is your potential, who you are. And another thing, he said, take the mantra to your navel, to your belly
yeah,
with the breath. So let
yeah,
it go down into your belly and you go on doing it. Try to sit in a place where no one disturbs you and go on doing it for 4 months. And then, something, you will come to know what it is. So I
yeah,
was expecting that maybe in 4 months, I will meet him, or I will, he will appear in my life or something like that. Because those 4 months, I was very intensely focused on the mantra and him. But somehow and on the exact day, like, when the 4 months was completed, I, I even went to the railway station and I said, maybe he will come by train. I saw the train timings from, I met him in Vrindavan. So I went to the train, the first train coming on that day, just to see, maybe he comes by train. Maybe I should not miss him.
Hmm.
And then I went to Vrindavan also after 1 month, 1.5 months. And but there also they told me that, he was seen here, but now he is not here. And how are you going to search for him in entire Vrindavan when you don't have any contact, you don't have phone number, nothing. So, then I sort of did the mantra for I think for another 1 year. I continued with that. And then after 1 year, maybe somehow, I got some other guidance, and then I went on a 1 month retreat where I was supposed to just be, not do anything, not do practice, not do anything of work, not connect with anyone, just be with myself. So then I sort of lost touch with the mantra. And then after some time, I was trying to do it, but I was not, connecting in some way. And then I sort of got into some, Advaita Satsang, some teachers, I met them. So I was just doing silent sitting. And last year, again, I met someone who was connected with Hanuman. So he gave me some mantras connected with Hanuman, but they are more of, mantras which you have to do as a practice. You cannot do them as a nama chanting on day-to-day basis. So somehow there are a lot of tools, just like the other man told. There are a lot of tools, but sometimes, they sort of keep alternating between them. And some tools don't work sometimes. If I try to do the meditation, which I did 2 years back, maybe now I'm not able to do it. I don't connect with it.
Yeah. Well, then I would recommend you that you really feel into yourself what is the most natural for you. And then you pick that up. That doesn't mean after that you're condemned for the rest of your life not to do anything else. It simply means that you have a main approach and you use that again and again and again, because like that, then your practice, your approach becomes powerful. If we then always waver, I do a bit this, I do a bit that, then it's like you never let you have the time that your tools becoming powerful. But then on the way, you can also include things that are maybe apparent, contradictory. But even if you then go to Advaita teachers and do other retreats, that you don't lose the thread with that which is the most precious for you. Find out for you what of all the tools you have been confronted with and used, what is really expressing it most naturally for you, and pick that up and stay with it, and then you can include other aspects without a problem. But then like that, there is a certain momentum created that you are not easily creating when you just are a bit directionless. Then you try a bit here and you try a bit there. But after all, what we are looking for is not something far away, but finding a way that helps us to bring the attention back to the essence that is here now, never absent. And just saying so that it is here now doesn't help, because we still experience the way we are experiencing. So find a way with which you can dig and dig and dig. And then you can use other tools for the same digging, but not dig here a bit and dig there a bit and dig in another place, because there you never get really deep. You just introspect with yourself. Actually, when you practiced this or that, what did feel that it's really the most natural for you, and not considering intellectual calculations, what this teacher said, this is no good and that is no good, but what you feeling in your heart, and then open to that and pick that up and go about it. And then if you feel like you still can include other aspects, that is not the problem. Shall we leave it like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Is there anybody else who would like to say something? You're welcome. There are so many ways. There are so many techniques. There are so many religions. All for that simple thing to become aware. What is it that makes all this possible? What is that living essence that makes all this possible? To become aware and to experience it directly. Just being told is a great inspiration, but that doesn't do the job. Once in a few thousand years, it may happen that one teacher tells the disciple, you are already that, and immediately that realization is there. But it can be inspiring. But then, like Nisargadatta, when he met his guru, he was that simple man, not having studied much. He read, I think he had read the Ramayana or something he had read, something in the Mahabharata, but he just started to really sincerely wonder what is this all about. And he met his guru, who gave him first the mantra, and he did it very strongly and started very quickly to have experiences. And then the guru just told him, listen, you are not what you think you are. You are not this person. You are timeless. You are spaceless. You are birthless. You are deathless. You are that essential reality. And he simply picked it up with full innocent devotion and faith, thinking, well, he cannot have any advantage telling me this if it's not true. So he just picked it up without doubting. Then the guru gave him a practice, just stick to that sense of I am. And so sometimes he was just remembering his guru telling him, imagining the guru when he gave him this instruction, and sometimes he was just holding on to that sense of I am that stayed with him. He didn't settle down and think, okay, wonderful, I'm not this person, I'm birthless, deathless, I'm timeless, spaceless, and start to talk about it. It invoked in him a hunger. And he decided, okay, I want to verify what my guru said with my own experience. And I'm going for that with all I have. And either I'm experiencing, I'm realizing it myself, or I'm dying trying to realize that myself. But he was so determined, not being fooled by the idea, okay, now that I know what it is all about, now that I have been told I can settle down and take it easy and dream away my life. No, he wanted to experience that by himself. And he went about it. He still was living his family life. trading his speedy business. But it was always there with him. And in all his spare time, he was just sitting alone, connecting, and within a relatively short period, he found himself totally transformed. It is that sincerity, that determination that mattered, not exactly the words of the teachings, not exactly the technique of the practice, just that intense decision. Okay, there I'm hearing a fantastic truth, but I want to experience it by myself. I want to verify it with my own experience. That is what mattered most. And so it doesn't matter the different techniques. If something appeals, that is the good technique. If a certain way to go about it comes more natural, then that is the good way to go about it. But still, until we can say, yes, it is so, this is my experience, it does make sense that we consciously dig in our consciousness, dig in our psyche, going deeper. It's a metaphor, going deeper. We don't have to go from here to anywhere, from anywhere to somewhere else, not going from one point A to the point B, not reaching a goal out there that is totally far away. We just have to somehow come home, but be determined about it, not simply accept it as a nice teaching that gives us pleasure, that we can, that we know that, but really sincerely want to verify it with our own direct experience. That is what matters. And then the different techniques don't matter, the different ways of devotion don't matter. Still, it makes more sense that we have basically our approach. And then there we can be a bit tolerant and we can include things that appear to be contradictions. And if we have that sincerity and go about it, it doesn't appear as a contradiction for ourselves. But still, that we have that basic approach, move in the right direction, and then we can include into that movement whatever we feel is also helpful, but not changing directions all the time. That doesn't bring a lot. Then it's more again like a spiritual entertainment. Again, I'm asking you, my friends, is there anyone who wants to say something? You're welcome to come in.
Werner, if no one has a question, I want to only ask one thing, or maybe your views on that, you know.
Yeah.
Like we said, J. Krishnamurti, even Osho, they completely sort of rejected bhakti, you know. Or maybe Osho used to accept the idea of devotion, but he did not accept, you know, connecting to mantras and deities. So why do you think, you know, it came? Was it because of the time in which they were, you know, living, or what is the, like, as per your, since you've been on this journey, you know, for many years. So what is your, because I love the way Osho explains something, especially in his Hindi talks. But in his English talks, is more like, you know,
Yeah.
trying to be funny and all those things. But in his Hindi talks, he goes very deep. He will talk to us about Narada Bhakti Sutras and all those things,
Yeah.
and find a very deep dimension. But And same with J. Krishnamurti, very deep. But then, and I like listening to them and listening to their silence and their voice. But then, oh, why is this contradiction? Do you have any, idea why it is like that, or what is the?
Well, actually, I don't really want to go into that. But I would recommend you, if you feel inspired when you read Osho, then just pick this out that is helping you. And if there is that other talk and you're wondering why, then never mind about it. Or why in J. Krishnamurti's case, he then wholesale rejected basically all the traditions. And still, there was something very wonderful, beautiful flowing through him. So you can connect with that and pick out what is helpful for you, and then accept that somehow in their story they have to maybe work out something by themselves, but you need not get doubts about it, but just don't worry about that aspect. Pick out that which is helpful and then integrate it in your path. But I don't want to even start to try to analyze why they did what they did, why they said what they said. Okay. I saw Dial lighting up before, along with Floyd. Dial, did you want to come in?
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Dial.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
One of my friends did many courses of Vipassana, and finally he was inspiring very much, and he started practicing in the night. He is busy, he have family, he have some work, and he practicing during full moon, new moon, and half moon all the nights. And it seems to me it's a very great achievement because I never was able meditating seriously evening time. For example, Shivaratri in Tiruvannamalai, I try sometimes, but I'm not able to meditate in the night, and I'm just sleeping the next day, sleeping. So is it, what do you think about such approach, the people trying to meditate full night?
Obviously, your friend who is doing so, he really, really wants to do so. And that's something that has grown to him naturally with his years of practice. And I can respect that, and you can respect that, but that doesn't mean you have to imitate that. Obviously, you say for you, the night meditation is not attractive, and then you need not think that you are missing something by not doing so. Meditate when it is good for you. The early morning is often recommended because it's called the Brahma Muhurtam, because then it's supposedly more efficient, our practices. But I think the main aspect is that the world is still quieter, that you are having less disturbance. And so naturally, the practice have the tendency to be more efficient. But you practice the way it comes to you, that it goes well, and you don't have to force yourself to do it in another way because other people are doing that.
Yes, maybe I don't like night and evening time because in the Russian army we have service 24 hours and only sometimes we can sleep normal night. And after this, maybe I just have these memories that it's if you're not sleeping, then it's very bad situation.
So
Maybe.
right, you're associating that being busy in the night with the army time, and you don't want to have anything to do with it. And so be it. Then you practice in the daytime. That is all right.
Okay.
You don't have to think because your friend is doing so, it is something so super special that you also have to do it. If that comes from him, for him, and since he has a family and since he has a job, then in this way he can do more meditation, and obviously he's capable of doing so. So then, by all means, let him continue doing it. But it doesn't mean, even if it's a great thing for him, that you should do the same thing.
Thank you, Werner. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? To that same subject. Often one can hear about somebody who is doing something extraordinary. Or we can read stories about great Mahatmas and whatever they had done. And then sometimes people think, but how can we have a chance? When I compare what I am doing, what I'm capable of, and what they did. And this is, it's not necessary that we look at these stories in this way. It is very inspiring to read the stories of great Mahatmas. Something, when you read about their life, something comes true, something very precious. And that we can open the heart to that and get the inspiration. But that doesn't mean we have to try to imitate them. It doesn't mean that our external story has to now slowly turn and get closer and closer to their story. Even if we live exactly the same type of life, if that is not what naturally comes to you, it's not going to bring the same results at all. Get inspiration from people you know who are sincere, from stories about Mahatmas that you hear about, you read about. Get all the inspiration you can, but then that should not lead to the conclusion that we start to doubt what we are doing. We can very well accept, okay, that is their story. What I'm going through is my story. The external circumstances and details of the story, they are not so relevant. What is relevant is the sincerity with which we dig deeper and connect with that essential reality. And that we can do in our own way. We may join a tradition, do their practice, and being guided sometimes from a step to a step, but still even within the framework of that tradition, each one has to find their own way, how to go about it, how to use the techniques, what extras that we can add to it from outside. What matters is that longing, that innocent longing for truth is there. If that is there, then we just go about our own way. And ultimately, in a way, everybody is creating their own yoga, their own path on the way. If something is there, like what Dayal just mentioned, that is inspiring us, and one feels like checking out, how it feels to do the same thing, nothing wrong. But if one becomes then aware, it's just not my approach. It doesn't work. So I don't have now to spend a lot of time to train myself that I can do the same thing. Each one's story is unique in its own way of development. And whether that story is swift or not swift is not a question of the external things that we are doing. It's not a question of the technique that we are using. It's not a question what kind of devotion we are developing. It's a question of whether we are sincerely going about it or not. If that sincerity is there, then all the different techniques can be helpful. So we can stick to whatever we are doing and then arrange our life in the way as it comes, naturally, spontaneously. But no matter how we arrange our life, that we learn to be with that essence whenever we can, whenever we remember, whenever it's possible. The regular practice times, they are very helpful. They create a certain strength, a certain momentum that makes it easier to remember, but that remembering part is equally important. Not simply when we practice, but no matter what we are doing. That remembering as part, remembering that, hey, what I'm experiencing now as a person is just a momentary appearance. I have to come back to that which makes the experience possible. If I want to feel complete, if I want to feel fulfilled, if I want to not more be caught up in that illusion of being a separate little personality. We can get a lot of support, we can get a lot of guidance, we can get a lot of help on the way, but ultimately it's still everybody's own steps we have to take, everybody's own decisions that come along. But then there is the argument, but sometimes people, they are getting sudden transformations, great experiences without having really asked for it. They have asked for it without being quite aware that they are doing it. Even if they are not so consciously fostering it, still there was that somehow that longing for truth there that started to manifest suddenly. And it didn't come out of the blue as people think, but it came there in a way that that being, that experience, that was ready for that aspect, for that type of experience that may stay or may after some time fade away. Get inspiration from the stories, from what people have been doing, what they are doing now, but remember, it's not a doing that is needed, it's a letting go that is needed. That doesn't mean like then many people jump to the conclusion, also don't do anything. It's not the point. Let's do whatever we feel we need to do. And if somebody does more and we feel, no, that's not what I need, then we can accept, okay, it's good for them. I don't have to imitate it. I don't have to repeat it. So I'm repeating tirelessly again and again. It matters how sincerely we are opening our heart to reality. That is the supreme practice. And then all the different practices and the daily routine and all these things, they help, they give a crutch, they make it easier. What we are looking for is not absent, it's that which makes you capable of hearing what I'm talking about. It's that which makes me capable of talking now in front of a computer, sending it out on a Zoom space where we meet. And there, everybody can have their own techniques, their own way to go about it. But what makes us meet is that sincerity of wanting truth. That is what matters. That is what brings the force in it to make it possible. And sincerity doesn't necessarily mean that we are imitating tremendous things that others have done. That's their story, that's their path. Just take the inspiration and apply it somehow in your own life and let it develop organically, beautifully, uniquely, as a beautiful manifestation of your inner spirituality, of your inner divinity. A story that has never happened before in the whole history of humanity, that shall never happen again in all its exact details. So let's not try to change our story, but let that story be an expression and use the story to remind you to come back home here now. Use the body. For a long time, I felt the body is more like an enemy I have to push away until I understood. No, the body is a beautiful expression. Use the body sensations, the experience, the situation where we find ourselves physically. Use all the easy confrontations, but also the difficult confrontations. Bring the attention back home. Connect with that. Relax in that. Live with that. That is what matters. Is there anybody else who would like to say something?
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly.
Yeah, I want to share. Today I feel not very happy with my meditation. Yes, today morning I listened to one audio from one person about her situation, and I saw that I'm involved in it, like it was with me.
Mhm.
I answered her what I felt about that, and then I said meditate, and my mind always came to this, and I thought maybe I said something not right, maybe better to say this or that.
Yeah,
I tried to come into this breath and my connection with God and let go, but it was very difficult. I couldn't. I just was very tired and felt that I couldn't connect, but I was in my thoughts mostly. Yes, and I even finished 8 minutes before my meditation because I don't know. I thought maybe I'm doing not good. Maybe I just harm myself with this because I felt so much tension.
Yeah.
Yes. Then I finished and went to run and felt better. But now I regret about that that I couldn't let go. Yes, my mind always finds something to regret about.
Right.
Yeah.
At least you tried, and that's all we can do. We cannot have the control how successful we are. And some days it's easier and sometimes it's more difficult. And especially if you have discussed with somebody that has emotionally touched you, then the tendency is there that it comes back. And yeah, maybe thinking what I should have said, what I should say, what I should not have said. But at least you try. When you become aware, okay, I don't want to go into it. And if the thoughts still go on about it, then just remind yourself to be as good as you can in a witnessing position instead of being emotionally totally sucked in. And then sometimes it works better and sometimes it's more difficult. And that you abandoned your meditation at a certain time because of it is not a tragedy. And I think you did the right thing. Running may be very helpful in such a situation when the mind is too tense and just doesn't want to let go of a subject. Then go out and run a bit in nature can be very healing and helpful. You don't think that something went wrong. What matters is that you are aware of that this is happening. That you not unconsciously just repeat the thinking and thinking and thinking about it. You were aware that it's there and that you're getting sucked in. And then you try to redirect your attention, and that's the right thing to do. In a future situation, do again the same that you try to do this morning. That when the thoughts come, you just redirect the attention to your meditation in whatever way you are meditating. But then you can also have patience with yourself if sometimes it happens like this morning, that in spite of your repeated reminding, the attention still got sucked into it, especially if there was a story that somehow deeply touched you, then it comes more. But if you sit again tomorrow or today or whenever you sit again and it comes back, if you can, just drop it and don't worry about it. But if you can't, if it just takes a little moment and then it comes again in sneakily wanting to push you here and there, that you think and think, then you can accept, okay, let it come back. So if I'm fighting with it, then I just can shut it down for a moment. The moment you let go of the attention, whoop, it's back. So then let it come, but remain in that witnessing position. That witnessing is anyhow there all the time. Just tune into that and see what it is doing and relax, and then it's losing its power. And then if down the road it happens that you talk again to the same person and spontaneously a discussion comes, and then you may still say all the things that you felt today you should have said, but whether this is happening or not, most of the time it's not that important. Many times I used to think, oh my God, I had that discussion. I should have said this. I could have said this better. I could have done it differently. But it's good to learn to accept, okay, it has come. Maybe it was not perfect, but that's how it has happened. So what? It's the past. It's the story. We don't have to somehow beat ourselves up that we didn't perform in the most perfect way and we could have said it better or we could have done something different. Things have happened. They happened the way they happened, but here now we don't have to maintain it. And if it comes in still again, then you learn to step a step back and observe. And then gradually, in this detached way observing, it slowly fades away.
Thank you, Werner. And one question, I thought maybe if I involve so much, maybe next time I should not listen to anything before my meditation. Maybe I don't know if there is a reason just to let it for the next time.
Yes, if you can arrange it, but sometimes it may not work that you can arrange it like this. And then if it still happens that you're emotionally involved in whatever has happened, and you sit down and it has the tendency to come again and again as many times as it comes, then you as many times learn to redirect the attention. And even if it doesn't happen very well, then you never mind, you accept at least I tried, and that is what counts, not how deep today your meditation went.
Okay, thank you very much, Werner. So very helpful. Thank you.
I wish you well. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
When Nelly came in, I saw Andreas lighting up. Shall we shortly go into something, or shall we keep it for another time?
My question, hi.
Oh, you are driving.
Yes, I am. My question would be, are there any steps at all in spiritual development?
There are steps and there are no steps. If you do a certain technique, then there may be very clear prescribed steps how to do it. But in reality, there are not really steps. And yet it appears, because often when somebody starts out, there is more more superficial and more gross stuff that has to be dealt with, and that burden that one carries has to be removed before one can get subtler. So in a way, there is a step there, but you cannot say there are clear steps that apply after that for everybody. What counts is that you connect as good as you can. If you follow a tradition that tells you to go in your practice step by step, then you do that. But still, in all that steps, one should not forget to try to connect, not simply does the external step well. So externally, steps may just form automatically, or they are given by the tradition one is using to practice, but in reality, you with yourself, you're here now, you're that. There is not really any step to that.
Or could you say there's just one big step?
There's just one big step to connect. And then how successfully we are each time, that is not in our hand. How the story develops, what kind of things we have to go through and confront and practice in order to go deeper, that is different from one to another and can look like I'm doing step after step after step, and in a way you do, but in reality you are that here now. There is no step to that.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. Be careful on the road.
Yes, I am. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. We can integrate everything. Started out talking about the body from my own experience, looking at it for a long time as something that is disturbing, like a prison, like an enemy I have to struggle with all the time. And then it's painful, it's hard. Or we can learn to integrate. And then we can integrate different aspects of the different practices. We can integrate teachings that we have heard from different teachers. If they are touching our heart, we can integrate everything in order to help us to do that one simple thing, to bring the attention back to ourselves, to be our natural self. I wish you all well. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.